Hello everyone, welcome back to the MX3 Super Sprint Championship, MX5 Super Sprint Championship, that's a good start, by Ronin Simsport. Today we are at Mid-Ohio with the sports car course, and this is about the right sort of track for this type of car. I was just saying that this is the kind of circuit that I think of when I think of Mazda MX-5s. It's got all the ingredients for what should be a fantastic day of racing. I am not Jake Sperry. I am indeed Caitlin Penny. I'm jumping in instead of Jake Sperry today because he had something coming up. And thank you very much to Jake for inviting me to this championship. And also thank you very much, John Vining, for helping me get set up here. John, what a circuit for MX5 racing.
Absolutely, the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, about 2 miles winding through the state of Ohio. Again, a lot of elevation change, a lot of tight, twisty corners. Should make pretty good racing for these fairly underpowered cars. We've got 2 major passing points at the keyhole at turn 2, and then down the long back straight. If you dive too hard, you end up in China Beach. So hopefully we don't see too much of that, too big of sins, but we certainly expect to see a lot of action today. We just completed our 45-minute practice session, and now we are 2 minutes into the 15-minute open qualifying. So we'll see drivers setting up now, just starting their flying laps now, and then we'll go into race 1, which is a 20-minute sprint.
Indeed. So we're live on both Twitch and YouTube. You can watch along on your favorite platform out of the two. Good to see a few people in already watching along, and we promise that you are going to see some action today. MX5 racing is famous for being extremely close. You have slipstreamy little cars that are momentum based. They can hold each other around the outside of corners. Mid-Ohio as well has plenty of switchback sections where if you get on the outside of someone, you'll be on the inside for the next corner. And as you can see there being demonstrated, they drift about absolutely beautifully there over the crests and all of that. A 15-minute qualifying session ahead of us now, followed by 2 20-minute races. Qualifying is in some ways very important and in some ways not so important for this championship. Of course, it is important because it's only a 20-minute race, not much time to make up positions whatsoever. And there's so many cars that if you do find yourself being stuck at the back, actually working your way through is going to be pretty much impossible. But also, pole position isn't the be-all and end-all in this championship, considering how tight the racing should actually be and how slipstreamy these funny little cars are. So if you do qualify on pole, that doesn't mean that you are set for a win by any means. Realistically, you want to treat qualifying seriously so you can qualify near the front, but you don't have to be absolutely at the front to achieve a good result here today, John.
No, it's qualifying is important, but racing is just as important. A lot of stuff will happen, especially in the second race with the reverse grid. So even if you get qualifying a little bit wrong, you have time to make up ground in the first race, and then another 20-minute re-rack, go again for points, because points we award the same amount of points in both races, so there's really nowhere to hide. At the end, you have to be strong in your qualifying. You have to be good in race 1, and then you get sent to the back for the reverse grid in race 2, and you need to work your way back up again. There's only 4 rounds, 8 races in total of this Super Sprint Championship, so every single second of track time is crucial. As we're riding on board right now with Robert Dendy, the Ronin Simsport machine. He had a really good opening round last week, getting a podium after coming back to iRacing after a long time off. So he's putting in a lot of work, and we're riding on board at the end of the lap now, just 1 corner to go. Little bit of understeer, as you can see, firing now into the final corner with an early downshift, looking for that apex. He's currently in position 6 with a 37.7. Let's see if he can improve at all. Oh no, looks like he's aborted. He's aborted now. So he's going to re-rack and try again with 9.5 minutes on the clock. Currently we have Pablo Espes on P1 with a 37.088. Brandon Hawken just 1/1000th behind in P2. Phil Matrevsky, who's actually just gone to P1 at a 36.903. There we go.
Indeed,
Sorry,
first
camera
driver under 137. So Filip Matrevsky currently leading the standings. In second place, we currently have Pablo Espes. Pretty good lap time from him. And like you said, and there to the top of the times goes Jason Cooper. So Jason Cooper currently 6th in the championship. And that is a big lap, look, 4/10 of a second faster than anyone else. And yes, we still have a
Absolutely.
long time to go in this qualifying session, but that's going to be a tough one to beat, isn't it?
Yes, that is a mega lap. Looked like he may have had some draft assistance from a teammate or from the car in front ending the lap. Yeah, 36.4 is a mega lap. That's going to be the benchmark for everyone to chase for the rest of this qualifying session. I would imagine. Because you have Matrevsky, Brandon Hawken, and Pablo Espes all within about a tenth of each other, but Jason Cooper is 4/10 clear of all of them. So I'm seeing some clouds now starting to roll in. The weather might be changing fast. So he may have timed his lap just right when the clouds rolled in, and the track temp dropped in time for him to get that lap together.
A lot of traffic there, two of the teammates absolutely bailing out, and I don't blame them considering how held up they appeared to be in that sector. And that's the importance of track positioning in a series such as this. There are so many cars on the road that you can very much find one of them blocking your path, and they don't have to get out of the way if they're also being timed. So you have to make sure that you're not directly behind a car that's on a timed lap. And of course, that means having a few extra seconds spare, because otherwise you might find yourself being a couple of seconds faster than your opponent and working your way up towards them anyway, which definitely hurts. Cooper still at the top. Brandon Hawken appears to have improved his time as well. He's now jumped ahead of Espes, so back into third position now. But still 4/10 of a second behind Jason Cooper, who is on that mega lap at the head of the times. Like I said, very tough one to beat, and actually it's making the field look a lot more spread out than it actually is. You see there, the car in 9th place, over a second behind now, which looks like a lot when until you realise that actually between him and the second place car, there's only a couple of tenths of a second between each individual car. It's just that then you have the massive leap from second place up into first place. Still some drivers setting their first flying laps. We have a few drivers yet to set their flying laps, and I think there should be about 20 cars in the session right now. So once all of those have set their laps, we will get a better idea of the actual order as they stand. And there is the traffic. That's just what I was talking about there, and you can see just how held up. That was Harvey there getting held up in traffic, and yes, won't be particularly happy with that one as he gets all over the grass.
Yeah, that's the tricky balance we have to find. Was we know that drafting is ultimately faster if you can time it right, but you need to get the draft down the straights while not being held up through the twists and turns of this track. So it's a double-edged sword. We're seeing some drivers trying to hunt for a draft, trying like here, for example, trying to find someone to latch onto for a lap to gain another 3 or 4 tenths, but if you time it wrong, you catch them at the wrong point, then you give up all that time again. So it's very difficult balance that these drivers will have to find. Jason Cooper still P1 with the 36.4. The gap back 4 tenths to Matrevsky, then just 3 100ths separating Matrevsky and Brandon Hawken, our current championship leader. So very close at the front indeed.
Indeed, except of course for Cooper and Matrevsky, who are 4/10 of a second apart still. Now we have some cars trying to find the track positioning. Difficult stuff, especially into there. That's a quick corner there, the left-hander. They've made it through. This here, the 227. So that is that's Pigot's car there.
Yeah, we're just going to follow the end of his lap, see if he can improve. He's got a best of a 39.0 right now. He's put in a couple good sectors starting the lap, so we'll see if he can improve now. Just come through the final corner. Difficult to spot that apex. you seal your fate fairly early in that corner. It's difficult to get to the end on the bump as you're going to cross the line, and it's not quicker this time. It's a 140. We still got 4 minutes, so we still got time for 1 or 2 laps to see if he can improve on his current position.
Indeed. Oh, big spin in the background for the number 90, who parks it up in the grass. This is the point in the session where these mistakes are going to start having an impact because the timer is ticking down. And this isn't like a standard qualifying session that you would see in real life, where you can start your final flying lap just before the timer ticks to 0 and then complete it. When the timer ticks to 0, that is it. If you're still on a lap, then sad face for you, because you are not able to complete that lap. They're going straight to the race after that, and that means that actually it's about now that the cars are going to be starting their final flying laps. Maybe a minute or so still to go for that to be viable. Esbest now improves his time, goes up to 2nd position and closer to Jason Cooper, just 1.5 tenths of a second behind now. That is more doable as someone runs wide through the grass and bails out of a lap. That's definitely more doable there. If Esbest can improve yet again by the same amount, he will end up on pole position provisionally.
Yes, yeah. So you can see he had big draft assistance from the Ronin car and a couple others in front. About a 5-car draft pack that was there. You can see them pushing each other down the straight now, but it looks like he timed it just right. Was able to get those couple of things we were talking about down this long back straight. Now up to China Beach. Used it to his advantage and got to their bumper just at the end of his lap. Now, it looks like Matrevsky improved slightly, still 3.5 tenths behind Cooper, but he's now established his 3rd place position a little bit better, with 2 minutes now on the clock, winding down very quickly. As he said, the drivers will need to cross the line about 1:38 to go so they can finish their final timed lap. So there's a couple that it looks like are going to time it just right. This pack here with Gabriel Erdelli, for example, we can get a shot of him. They're about to start one more lap to see if they can improve on their spots at all. Gabriel currently in P7, just behind Jason Sampaio by 3/100ths of a second. So as you said, the gap in front looked massive, looked like a big field spread, but from P3 to P 15, for example, it's only about 1 second. So this is a very tight, very competitive field, and I can't wait to see them all go into turn 1 for the first time.
Fischer now up into 4th place. Unfortunately, I think that's going to be it for Adelyi. I don't think he managed to start that final flying lap in time. And I also, as someone else goes for a spin there, I also don't think that Pablo Esbest is going to get another lap, because he also seemed to be crossing the line just behind that bunch, and if they don't set a flying lap, then he absolutely won't. So I think that is pretty much it up in front, especially for Pablo Esbest. Behind them,
we're on board with Lee Martin now. He's just finishing his lap. This will be his last one. Let's see if he's able to improve. He's a little bit down on the timing table than for probably his expectation. Let's see what this lap is going to be if he improves. He jumps up slightly to a 37.712. So he does improve a little bit for Lee Martin. So that was a decent lap for him there.
That'll do for now. The session is about to tick to 0. It looks to me as if Jason Cooper has pole position wrapped up now. Pablo Esbest will be 2nd on the grid, and the checkered flag is waving. So that is it for the qualifying session now. We're heading to the first of 2 races today. It's going to be a 20-minute sprint. And there you saw the grid order to the left-hand side of your screen. So it is Jason Cooper on pole position here, ahead of Pablo Esbest and Philip Mitrevsky. Then you have Lars Fischer and the championship leader Brandon Hawken, who finished 2nd in both of the races at Alton Park, and as a result is leading the standings here. 6th place is Adelyi. That is Gabriel Adelyi, who's 2nd in the championship after finishing 3rd in both the races at Alton Park. Jemison Sampaio is in 7th position, followed by Chase. That is Michael Chase there, 21st in the championship. Much bigger qualifying for him in this one. Jackson Resenda is P9, and P10 on the grid will be Harvey, whose name I can't appear to find right now, so apologies about that. John, I cannot find Harvey's first name.
That's all right. I gotcha. It's Daniel Harvey in P10, Daniel Munoz P11, Robert Dendy P12, Lee Martin in P13, Aaron Black in the number 1, 14, James Clark P15, Sebastian Rogier 16, Jacob, and then Shane Piggin P18, Darren Ellis P19, Danny Yesser in rounding up the field in P20. Just getting ready now, drivers gridding up for the race 1 20-minute sprint. Then the results of this race will set the grid for race 2 with a invert of the top 15. So the winner of this race will start 15th in race 2, and so on.
Okay, if you have a live timing, if you could send that to me, please, that would be very very handy for this one. But anyway. 3 seconds to go now until we get the countdown for race 1, and then we will be underway for the start of this one. The drivers are on the grid. There's the countdown, and the race about to get underway with Cooper at the front, and it's go, go, go. So off goes Cooper now, up the inside. That is an awesome start for him. And now Matrevsky appears to be up to 2nd already, so Espes not getting such a good start, putting him under pressure from Matrevsky into turn 1. It's Cooper from Matrevsky and Espes, and I'm looking further back to see if everyone gets through okay. It looks as if they have done for the most part. The midfield are through safely anyway. And turn 2 is the real pinch point. This is the first heavy braking zone of the lap, and not braking heavy enough is Cooper, who's run wide now, and that's put Matrevsky up into the lead. So Philip Matrevsky leads the race now from Jason Cooper. They're going to be side by side down the back straight up towards China Beach, and now they will encounter another heavy braking zone. It's Cooper versus Matrevsky still, and Espes trying to make it 3 wide, going to the inside line and bailing out a bit, deciding that discretion is the better part of valor. And Cooper will be up the inside. Cooper maintaining the lead. Better traction for Matrevsky. Matrevsky's now got the inside. He is that car with the orange rear end. And now Cooper gets the run, and Cooper gets a car length ahead. So Jason Cooper, despite the poor slide through turn 2, has managed to hang on to the lead due to some fantastic aggressive recovery driving. Great start there, John, and the race absolutely kicking off in the early stages.
Yeah, looked like a fairly clean start for most of the field. Despite that slide, it's Jason Cooper maintaining the lead. Pablo with Philip Matrevsky in P2, Pablo Espes P3, Brandon Hawken, your championship leader, in P4. Looks like a small gap separating themselves from the top 4 and the rest of the field after 1 lap, with the draft being ever so important on this first half of the lap. Let's see if if the leaders decide to work together to separate themselves, or if they want to fight for track position right from the start.
Indeed, possibly a couple of cars a little affected on the first lap. It seems that Piggott in particular has dropped off the tail of the field, so maybe some contact further back, or maybe a little spin or something along those lines. Up in front, they're still okay though. Cooper, despite the mistake, has managed to hold on to the lead, and behind him, Matrevsky and Espes fighting over those positions, with Brandon Hawking waiting to pounce. To the outside goes Espes. Ducks back underneath him now. There's going to be another outside line shown to him, but as we've seen in these cars, that doesn't matter too much because they have so much traction, and if you can put that power down and get the run, then you can still find yourself on the inside of your opponent before too long. This racing here, this isn't just going on because it's so early in the race. This will likely go on all the way through. That's just how Mazdas are. And we're going to have to take a big breath at some point in this race, because it's not going to calm down anytime soon. And hopefully these guys keep it clean, so they will all make it to the end in this fight. Little wide there from Espes. We're now on board with Brandon Hawken trying to get straight back into this scrap. He didn't quite qualify as well as he maybe would have liked to have done. But Brandon Hawking is a fantastic racer, and Espes has darted through into second place at turn 1, ahead of Philip Matrevsky now. A cone gets flicked up in the background, and that's just how hard they're racing. Into the hairpin, there's more moves going on in the background, and Matrevsky back up the inside of Espes.
Yeah, now we see Gabriel Ardelli diving up the inside of the FTR machine. Looked like he just about was able to get the move on Daniel Harvey. Harvey's going to come back around the outside with maybe some drafting assistance behind the number 7 Daniel Munoz, excuse me, deciding who he wants to help, electing to stay out of the battle for now, trying to keep it clean. Ardelli dives deep into the braking zone, just about ends up in China Beach, but does pull it up, going side by side now through the S's, which shows the great racing that you see at Mid-Ohio, with each corner feeding into the next. Daniel Harvey is just able to maintain the position for now, it looks like.
Indeed, down into the latter stages of this track. This is known as Thunder Valley here. Ooh, and a little wide, and onto the infield now. Goes one of the runners a little further back, a number ending in 7. We'll try to get that to you in due time. But anyway, a driver having a little off and managing to maintain it, and another one with a big twitch. And almost a slide job there, kind of a forced slide job there to the outside of Thunder Valley. Now on to another lap of the race. The leader still separated by under half a second going on to this lap, with Cooper still out in front, followed by Espes. This is the battle a little further back. Probably the fight, I'd say this is probably P8 and further back. It's around that point in the field. And this is Harvey under attack from Adelyi again. Adelyi trying to get underneath him. Harvey did well to check it up and get it back to the inside of that corner, because it looked as if he was going to slide wide, Jason Cooper style, and he managed to put it right where Adelyi didn't need it. And this is actually the fight for 8th, and up in front as well, that looked like Fischer side by side with Resende down into China Beach, and managing to keep it out of the beach itself.
Yeah, again, just barely pulling it up. All these drivers are very, very aggressive on the brakes there, which, as it is the prime overtaking zone, but it is easy to get undercut. Like if you dive too much. Oh, as we can see, he just about loses it. Manages to hang on. That's 25 Jackson Resende. Just keeping it on the track now, going through Thunder Valley. They're absolutely side by side, deep on the brakes, clipping the grass. Oh, just a little bit of contact. 96 of Lars Fischer runs wide, rejoins safely. Car appears to be okay. A little bit more contact now with the one of Aaron Black, but everyone's still managing to keep going now with 13 minutes left on the clock.
That was beautiful car control from Resende heading up towards Thunder Valley. He was sideways for all of that corner and didn't really appear to be in danger of losing it. He was just in control while looking out of control. And up in front, that's the 410 now, under pressure. So Sampaio, he's made his way up into 4th place actually. So that's him overtaking, very nearly Brandon Hawkin, and having a little bobble on the exit of the corner. So Hawkin maintains that 4th position. He's under pressure now, and it's 5 for the lead, with Sampaio, Jameson Sampaio, right up with them now. And in the background for 6th and 7th, once again, it's Resende and Harvey. Of course, before, Resende was fighting with Fischer. Fischer's had a bit of a run through the gravel now. And now it's down to Aaron Black to get involved in this one. Black to the outside, all over the place.
Yeah.
As Daniel Harvey holds him off.
Yeah, this battle now with Gabriel Ardelli and Daniel Harvey looks like it's not going to stop anytime soon. It has been raging for the last few laps. It's been full-on war, it seems like, but just a little bit of a gap now. Oh, is there some contact behind? See if we can tell who that is. Looked like the 7 of Munoz might have been involved in it, maybe potentially with Aaron Black, but it looks like everyone's made it out okay. And again, we've got several stories now going on through the field. Like for example, with Pandisco, he's in P16, one spot away from the cutoff. So if he can pass just one more car, get into P15, he will be in the invert spot. He will start on pole for race 2. So again, every spot here does matter, no matter what has happened this race. Like if you went off, had a little bit of contact early, as we see more fighting up front between the top 4 and top 5. Sampaio just a couple tenths back. The truce that these guys had to break away might be fading a little bit as the gap now has grown to 4 seconds over P6 and P7, who are in their own fight as well. So we've got 2 separate battles now going on. 5 for P1 and then 3 now for P6.
Look at that, a whole bunch of them heading up towards China Beach, and around the outside looks Espes. He was pretty much forced to do that, actually, because he got a shove from behind by Matrevsky, but that might end up helping him because he's going for the lead and might just get it, you know? Well, Cooper still has the inside line through there. Little bobble. It looks as if there's been some instances of contact in this one, with drivers just nudging each other and leaning on each other. That's just how Mazda's race. No harm, no foul so far. Sampaio getting right back involved in it again. Didn't have the pace to keep with them when they were single file, but now that they are side by side, he is right back into it. Now we head towards the carousel, and they've got to pick a line through here. A little drifty from Espes. And this is amazing stuff. He's been side by side with Cooper for pretty much the entire lap by this point, and he's still there. And Cooper maintains the lead just about now as we're halfway through this race. He's back up the inside. That's where he overtook Matrevsky earlier on in this race. And now it's Cooper, followed by Espes, Matrevsky, Sampaio, and Hawkins. So the championship leader loses a place further back. And Sampaio is putting Matrevsky under pressure. You can see by the body language of the car, Matrevsky knows he's there, and Espes takes the inside line. Cooper now has to focus on getting an exit because there is a long straight ahead of them. He's on the outside, that's where the traction is, on the exit of that corner, and he does get the run, but now the slipstream comes into effect, and it's going to be Sampaio who gets the advantage here, probably. Espes back to the outside. Sampaio sitting there licking his lips like, oh, I spy an opportunity here. Hawkin and Matrevsky side by side after both losing out to Sampaio, and there is Cooper back to the lead of the race, so Cooper maintains the lead as Espes and Sampaio go side by side behind him.
This is absolutely incredible racing now. 9 minutes left to go, just past halfway. We've got 5 cars fighting for the lead and showing a lot of respect with each other. Little nudges here and there, but generally keeping it clean, leaving each other the room so they can race like this. It's fantastic to see.
And if this is how they race at the halfway point, I hate to think what the last lap's going to be like, because they're all going to get rather desperate at that point. So hopefully they keep it clean, but we've still got about 8.5 minutes to wait until we have to worry about that one. On to another lap of racing. Cooper, Espes, and Sampaio, the top 3. And the biggest winner out of all of that is Sampaio, who started further back and wasn't really looking to be involved in this fight in the early stages, but now he very much is. The driver just 14th in the championship at this point, equal on points with Enzo Sampaio. Interestingly, Enzo doesn't appear to be in the order today.
One thing to watch here is Gabriel Erdelli in P6. He was 4 seconds back from the leader. Now the gap is just 2.6, and he's only 1.5 seconds away from the back of Brandon Hawkin in P5. So if this battle wages anymore, he will start to pick up the draft and gain on them very rapidly. So there may be another Ronin SimSport machine in the fight to help Matrevsky, because these top 5 guys, at the moment, there are no teammates involved, so there's nobody willing to help each other. No pre-made agreements yet. So it'll be interesting to see if he can catch this pack and have an influence on the outcome.
It's a really good point. Yeah, this is draft racing, pretty much like NASCAR at this point, just on a road course, and of course teammates could come into play to a much greater effect than they would at a race where it's harder to overtake. Into the carousel they go for another time of asking. Espes looked to be all sorts of sideways heading into Thunder Valley and somehow managed to keep it off the grass. I'd hate to be a cone on a day like today. They've been battered around like footballs. and I doubt any of them will be standing in their original position by the end of this one. 7 minutes to go now in this race, and of course they will complete the lap that they're on when the checkered flag comes out. And this race is absolutely going to go right down to the wire, because that's just how Mazdas roll.
Yeah, we've got James Clark here in P15 in the invert position, doing his best to hold off the pack behind with the likes of Robert Dindy and the 63 machine, trying to fight for that spot, because they all want to start on pole. They want the track position for the second race. They dive up the inside of the 101 and trying to take that spot away, but he's defending for now, and we're gonna have to jump back up to the front, because we've got more fighting as we see Espes sideways at the end of the back straight, managing to keep it on the track, still sideways, but it is Jason Cooper now back in the lead with Espes in second and Sampaio now in third. The battle now picking up. Gabriel Ardelli just 2 seconds back now, still gaining on them. This might be a 6-way fight for the end by the time we get to the final lap of this race.
Cooper is really impressing me with his racecraft here. This is the first time that I've actually seen him race, and he seems to know the most important thing when it comes to races like this, which is positioning. He is positioning his car absolutely perfectly. He's not going too defensive into any of these corners, and if he did, I think that would probably force him off the ideal line. But he's holding his line, and Pablo Espes is not able to get through. And even when he gets up the inside like this, Cooper is able to put the power down and get the traction and maintain the lead just like that. They demonstrate exactly what I'm talking about as I'm talking about it. In the background, Sampaio does go defensive from Matrevski, and very nearly 3 wide there. Hawken kind of hindered Matrevski's opportunity to get past Sampaio, and that might hinder his own opportunity to get past Matrevski, but actually he does have the traction out of that corner, and now it's pretty much down to who Sampaio wants to give the slipstream to as to who gets through out of the two of those guys. Espes once again on the back of Jason Cooper, goes to the outside, and that's a different side to where he was on the last lap, so we'll see if this fares better for him. Look at Cooper, really, he's still positioning his car well. He's still
defending,
getting the traction where he can. Espes has nosed ahead now, and it looks as if Espes once again is back into the lead of the race, but can he stay there? He's been there before, but this is such a tight race that is it's certainly not guaranteed that that's going to help him out as much as it might otherwise. And the top 6 absolutely in a train. Now let's see what Jason Cooper can do about getting back at Pablo Espes, who has finally managed to break the deadlock and get through into the lead of this race, John.
This is incredible. You could throw a blanket over the top 6 cars. There is nothing between them now with just a handful of laps to go. As you said, Cooper has been really impressive at defending, controlling the momentum and the pace, using his racecraft to maintain the lead, but Espes was able to get through. Cooper's trying to get it back. He's not wanting to wait around. He wants to maintain the lead as much as possible, it appears. He's trying to go around the outside, the long way around through the keyhole. Let's see if he can get the drive on the exit. Big run, but runs out of places to go. He just ends up in the bumper of Espes. Looks like he's going to draft him now down the long back straight towards turn 4 with the pack very close behind. Sampaio looking for a place to go, but just choosing to draft with Cooper now. Ducking to the inside goes Sampaio as they're side by side in front of him. Espes dives deep into the braking zone, able to maintain the lead. There's Sampaio going deep as well, with Hawken behind him on the inside of Matrevski, trying to take 4th spot away from him. It's Espes still maintaining the lead, with Cooper close behind, looking for any opportunity, but there's nothing coming up. He's going to have to wait a few corners, probably towards the carousel at turn 12 for his next potential opportunity. But the clock is still winding down, so every single moment, every glimpse that he can see, he's going to take it. You can tell he's a very aggressive driver. He doesn't want to wait around. He wants to take it.
Looks to me as if there's going to be 2 more laps in this race, so Esper's heading on to the penultimate lap now, just ahead of a train of hungry Mazdas. And I was very impressed by his positioning out of turn 2 on that last lap as well. Put his car exactly where Cooper wanted to be to get the run out of the corner, and it very nearly put him under pressure from the cars behind. So Espes did everything he needed to there to maintain the lead. And it wasn't a slide job or whatever, he was just calmly driving to the outside of the road. Which was right where Cooper needed to be. Sampaio now to the inside, and Cooper gets a run, and also Brandon Hawkin there with a run of his own. Cooper maybe touching the grass a little. Here comes Sampaio and Hawkin on the inside, pretty much bump drafting each other as they attempt to overtake Cooper for second position in this race. They're going to go 3 wide into China Beach, and they turn in and they somehow give each other room. This is where the IndyCars tend to collide on the first lap of the race. Pablo Espes maintaining the lead, and in the background, oh goodness, they're going to go into this corner as a whole bunch of cars. Hawkin appears to have got third. That looks as if he's, yes, there we go, slots into position.
Yep.
So Hawkin does get third out of all of that. And it's amazing how little the order actually changed, considering how many moves we saw being pulled and being attempted in that whole bunch. Looks as if Matrevsky has been forced to the rear of that little pack, but he is now with his teammate Adeli. And yeah, a little bit of swapping around, but now we have the most important lap of them all, the last one.
Yeah, again, that was incredible racing. They were 3 wide going into turn 4. As you said, they were somehow able to make it all work. 15 seconds on the clock. This will be the last lap in anger. We've got Pablo Espes in P1, Cooper second, Hawkin third, Sampaio fourth, Matrevsky fifth, and Erdelli in sixth now. All in a line, drafting, pushing, looking for any opportunity now going up into the keyhole at turn 2. Hawkin's going to dive up the inside of Cooper, sticks his nose. He's now alongside, not quite going to get the run. Cooper maintaining second position. This builds a gap to the leader of Pablo Espes of about 4 tenths. He might be safe from attacking behind now going into turn 4 at China Beach. Some cones being knocked off there as people are cutting minimum distance possible. Hawkins going to dive up the inside one more time, but Cooper breaks even later. Now Sampaio trying to go a long way around the outside. Nothing happening. Everybody looking for any opportunity, but also running very defensive on each other. So it is maintaining even standing now. Just a handful of corners to go. If you're gonna make any move, you're gonna have to be pretty creative at this point. There's no major opportunities to overtake for the rest of the lap. Pablo Espes with a 4-tenth advantage now going into Thunder Valley, with Cooper and Hawkin behind, bump drafting now up the hill. Into turn 11 they go. Hawkin very close to Cooper, right on his bumper. He might lean on him now going into the final corner, but it's looking very good for the Obsidian number 11 machine of Pablo Espes with a little slide now, but coming around the final corner, he's going to take the win. P1 for race 1 here at Mid-Ohio of the Super Sprint Championship. Jason Cooper in second, Brandon Hawkin third, Sampaio in fourth, and Matrevsky in fifth, with Gabriel Erdelli in the run of SimSport machine in P6. We've got more finishers coming up behind now. And battle's just finishing with Daniel Munoz in P7, Lars Fisher in P8, Daniel Harvey P9, Lee Martin P10, Michael Chase in P11, Danny Yesser P12. And we've got a few more coming in now. We've got Aaron Black in P16, who looks like he just missed the cutoff. That's going to go to... yes, here we go. Ram Pandisco in P14 and Jason Clark in P15 for the end of race 1. Wow.
Absolutely. There was a big fight for P15 in the later stages as well. It's a shame we couldn't see any of that, but that's going to affect the grid order for this second race now, and it appeared to change once again on the final lap of the race. And but what a race we had up front. I absolutely do not blame you for not cutting away from that. Fantastic stuff to have 6 cars crossing the start-finish line separated by pretty much a second. And you don't really get much closer than that. That is how Mazdas work, and that is why they are so exciting. I'm really looking forward to the second race as well, with all of those drivers coming through from the back. But yes, that was about as close to speedway racing as you can get on a road course, and we do it all over again in just about 10 minutes time.
Yeah, I have to catch my breath from that one. We see 6 cars, all even pace, all competitive drivers fighting for that win, and a lot of respect shown. You worry about these dive bombs, but and yet everyone was super close, maybe touching here and there, but they all made it out unscathed. Really good respect shown from the top 6 drivers, and really good racing with these Global Mazda MX5s.
Indeed. Let me see if I can bring you the full order. Then I'm going to go back to the race 1 and see exactly where they all finished. So Espes led, followed by Cooper. So Espes won the race in the end, followed by Cooper, and then Hawkin, Sampaio, Matrevsky, and Adelyi. Then it was Munoz P7, Fisher P8, then Harvey, Martin, and P11 went the way of Chase, Michael Chase there, P11. Yesser was P12, followed by Krafek, Pandisco, and then Clark ended up P15 in the end as well. So it, yes, the P15 did change hands on the last lap of the race. There was a big fight going on for that little group there. Black was P16, just missing out, and that is going to hurt. And then it was Piggott, Rogier, Resende, and Elis, and it looks as if it was Dendy who dropped a lap down in the end. He was running in 15th for a little while, but I think something may have happened to that car. And John, I think we can speak to our first driver from that race now.
Yes, yeah, I'll grab him here in just a second. It's I believe it's the number 32 machine of Phil Matrevsky. Let's see if you can get him to join us in the booth here for an interview, because I'm really interested in his point of view from that race, from the driver's eye. So here we're here with Phil Matrevsky. Tell us about your race. You were in that pack for fighting for the lead for the whole time. It looked very exciting. So tell us about it.
To be honest, I have never seen a race 3 wide at Mid-Ohio, so that's the first, through most of the corners. But yeah, that was some epic racing. The start was good, I gained a position, but then somehow through all the shuffling, I ended up in P5, second to last place from the pack. But still, the pace looks good. Hopefully, with the advantage of the reverse grid, we can extend that advantage going into the second race.
So you've gotten a feel now for what the car does over a 20-minute period. Is there any setup changes you're looking to make, or anything different you're going to apply now that it's a reverse grid to your Global Mazda MX5?
Setup-wise, I don't think so. Maybe a little correction on the fuel, considering we used a bit less fuels than we anticipated to. But other than that, it should be pretty straightforward. Get the jump on the start, and hopefully we can stay in the lead.
Absolutely. Well, we certainly expect the start to be very exciting. It was a bit of a mess at Oulton Park. Hopefully, there's a little bit less carnage now. But what are you going to do to separate yourself on that first lap to get through the chaos and get up front?
Well, with the reverse grid, you always have a few drivers who are a little bit slower, and then hopefully through the overtaking phase, I can create a buffer between myself and the other guys. So looking to use the traffic as my advantage.
Outstanding. Well, I'll turn it over to Caitlin if she has any questions for you. But thank you for your time.
Thank you too. Been great.
Indeed, congrats there for making it to the end of that one, Phil, because it was so close, and it was so close to having a collision on plenty of occasions. We saw you nudging drivers down the straight and into the corners and leaning on each other. How do you manage to be that close for 20 minutes without someone just making the slightest error and taking you all out at the same time? Is it something you have to be thinking about at all times, or does it come naturally?
Well, in the first race, we were kind of all introduced basically to each other. But now in this second race, you can kind of guess what the driver is going to do. So you trust them a bit more, and then we can lean on each other more and more and, be comfortable with it. I guess everyone has the same sort of mindset, going into this race, considering what happened in Oulton in the last race. And hopefully we can stay clean as we were in the first race.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Phil, and I'm looking forward to seeing you coming through the field.
Thank you too.
I'm liking the memes being shown on the stream right now of John. That's an interesting addition to the broadcast.
Oh, sorry about that. Fudged out a little bit. We're all we're all good now. We've got 4 minutes left in our warm up now. The driver's taking a breath and getting ready for round 2, race 2, with a 20-minute reverse grid. And yeah, Phil sounded very confident in himself, but starting towards the back of that pack is no that's no small task to get through those first few corners unscathed, and even after that, the cars that finished P9, P10, even outside the cutoff, likes of Aaron Black, they're not they're not slow. They may have had a struggled a little bit in qualifying, but they still have pace, just a couple tenths off. So passing them will be difficult.
Indeed, it will, and every car will be fighting for every single position here. It's an interesting point system that I'm seeing on the championship standings, because there really isn't that much difference between each position. Finishing first only gives you 1 more point than finishing second. And yet the fact that the grid kind of goes up in little increments, it does still give you an incentive to go through and take any position that you can get, especially with this championship being so short. I think with a longer championship, it probably would be wise to have kind of bigger intervals between the gaps, just to make the drivers feel that they have to go for moves a little more. But for a championship like this, that really works actually, and it also means the drivers are obliged to finish the races and finish well. You don't end up with drivers adopting a sort of now or never, do or die attitude, which could be quite dangerous. Brandon Hawken, of course, didn't win either of the races in the first round of the championship, but ended up leading it by 4 points coming away from that round, simply because he had a consistent day of racing, as did Gabriel Adeli, who was 3rd in the standings. Of course, the 2 winners from round 1 were Pablo Espes, who's only 10th in the championship, and then Philip Matrevsky, who finished 5th in that first race there. Someone doing some rather beautiful donuts there on the exit of the pit lane, getting ready for the start of this second race, and it's good to see they're getting pumped for this.
Yeah, well, I certainly hope they're going to change their tires before they line up for round 2, and it's I'm not sure this is an effective tire heating strategy now by the FTR machine of, I believe, Aaron Black or Daniel Harvey. Probably suboptimal for their overall balance, but hey, I'm not in the car, I'm not going to be one to judge. Last week at Alton Park, we saw people using their windshield wipers in the draft, probably accidentally touching it on their steering wheels, but it was still very amusing to watch.
Just 1 minute now till the end of this warm-up session, and until we get going for the second of 2 races here today, a top 15 reverse grid. So it's a partially reversed grid, with the faster drivers that qualified and finished near the front of the order having to come through from 15th and 14th and 13th, etc. positions on the grid, and the drivers who were fighting a little further down in the order being given their time in the sun out in front. And it's always interesting to see in race 1 how someone bouncing off the inside of the pit wall there. I don't quite know what's going on, but anyway. Some drivers try to finish 15th rather than maybe 14th or 16th or whatever, simply to get that pole position for race 2. But I don't necessarily think that's the best way of doing it, because you've got to get all the points that you can. And of course, pole position, as we discussed earlier, is not necessarily the be-all and end-all, and it doesn't really mean that much in the grand scheme of things. I mean, the pole sitter did not win race 1. They were close to it, but there was plenty of changes in the order and all of that, and I'm sure that there will be in race 2 as well.
No doubt. We're now just beginning to grid up for race number 2. 20 minutes, top 15 reverse grid from race 1. So it's James Clark on pole position, Ryan Pandisco P2, Jacob Krafek P3, Danny Yesser P4, Michael Chase P5, Lee Martin P6, Daniel Harvey P7, Lars Fischer in 8th, then Daniel Munoz 9, Gabriel Ardelli 10, Philip Matrevsky, who we interviewed in P11, Jason Sampaio 12th, Brandon Hawken 13th, Jason Cooper 14th, Pablo Espes, your championship leader. Oh, sorry, Pablo Espes, your race 1 winner in P15, then Aaron Black 16, Shane Piggott 17, Sebastian Rogier 18, Jackson Resende 19, Darren Ellis 20, and Robert Dendy rounding out the field in P21. Looks like the field is just about now lined up, so I'll hand it over to you for the race start.
Thank you very much. 21 cars, a fantastic grid for an MX5 race. Well and truly enough cars to do it. Here we go then, watch for the countdown on the top left-hand side of the screen. It's at 0 currently, and off we go. The race has begun. So away they go at the front. Clark leads us towards turn 1, and it looks as if he's got a car length ahead, so rather safe into the first corner. Pandisco taking a look. Further back, you see the championship contenders trying to come through, and they all keep it clean on the exit of the first corner. That's always good to see. Now up to turn 2. This is where, in the first race, it all went a little pear-shaped for Jason Cooper, who left his braking a little late. This time, though, Clark holds the inside line, and Pandisco tries to force his way right around the outside, allowing Krafek to have a look. And there is a tangle further back, and 2 cars go into the barriers. And hopefully that is not any of our championship contenders. That is Aaron Black, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like Aaron Black and Jackson Resende had contact. So Jackson Resende, who was strong in race 1, looks like issues now in race 2. We'll try to get a replay of that in a bit. But Aaron Black's car looks like he is done big damage, and there is no fast repairs in this race. But it's still James Clark now in the lead with Krafek in P2 and Daniel Harvey, the other FTR machine, in P3, trying to sneak up the inside. You can see the leaders from race 1 trying to work their way up. You see the likes of the Ronin Simsport machines with Brandon Hawken and Jason Cooper now. Oh, there's contact with Munoz.
Indeed, and around. And who's that facing backwards? Someone's gone around. It's the number...
It's Daniel Munoz, number 7.
Munoz, yeah, 07. And there's someone else facing backwards on the exit of the corner as well, just ahead of Munoz. That was Elis, I think. As we see, oh, look at the order changing. Another car goes around. Goodness me. And another one, 77 with a big twitch. And that's Adelie keeping it under control just about. Someone coming into the pits further back. Is that one of the Ronin cars struggling? No,
I believe that might be not Jason Cooper. That is Jason Cooper's teammate. I believe that is. No, actually, that should be Cooper in the pits, as Lars Fischer is on track.
Oh wow!
So several cars looked like with major issues on lap 1. Lots, Aaron Black still trundling around, but here in the pit lane, if we can find it, we've got several cars with issues. At the front, it does still appear to... No, it's now Sebastian Rogier with the lead, and Daniel Harvey in P2, and Jason Clark now 3rd with Pandisco 4th, and Danny Yesser in P5.
Something's gone very wrong with the timing screen. Look, it's registering as a 50-second lead for Rogier, so I don't believe that he is actually leading this race. Yeah, something has clearly gone awry in that one.
Indeed, that should be. It looks like that should be Daniel Harvey now with the lead, with Jason Clark in 2nd, very close behind. So yeah, we had an issue with our timing screen. We'll try to get that sorted.
We'll update it for you in time being, but yes, it looks as if our race 1 winner Espes is already up to 6th place in this. Hawken now up to 3rd, so that's a change for position. Brandon Hawken with a mega start, fighting his way through the field, and there you see him in that distinctive, almost looks like a flame liveried car there. As it starts dark and gets brighter, I very much like that livery actually. I do think it's quite distinctive on the road. And he is just behind our pole sitter Clark. Harvey attempting to get away while it all kicks off behind him.
Yeah, so a lot has happened in these first couple laps. So some big EPs that have come of it because of the carnage that has took place on the reverse grid now. Daniel Harvey with 0.8 of a second lead over Brandon Hawken, again trying to get away, but Hawken is in his draft and will likely be closing on him very shortly. We've got now looks like 9 to 10 cars now in this top pack, 3 Ronin Simsport cars in tow at the end, and then there's a 7-second gap forming now to Lars Fischer in P11. Oh, there's more contact behind.
Sampaio's around.
Yes, Sampaio is in the C PPM machine. Looks like has gone around. Not quite sure what has happened there. He looks to be okay, no apparent damage, so he can continue and try to salvage something of it.
I think it was just about seen on the broadcast. I'm going to have a look back and see what happened. Possible contact with Yesser, I think. It was Yesser and Dendi who was around in the order. But yeah, we didn't see exactly how that was caused, unfortunately, so we can't tell you how that happened. Hawken is now up to second position, past Clark into turn 1 on this lap, and he's right on the back of Harvey already. You can tell he is one of the fastest cars on track right now, if not the fastest car. And the quicker he can get through Daniel Harvey, the quicker he can clear off.
Yeah.
And if it is possible to clear off in these cars, big twitch for Harvey. Hawken will be a lot faster through this sector now. And you can see how impatient he is to get past that car. He sees that Espes is making up positions behind him. They run over the grass, just about keeping it under control is Daniel Harvey, who almost lost control of it. Espes is up to 5th position, nearly got up to 4th in that sector. And Espes as well knows that he needs to get through before Hawken clears Harvey, because it looks like a matter of when rather than if. And when he does, it might be all over for Pablo Espes this race too.
Yeah, as you can see, he's trying to dive up the inside of Pandisco. Pandisco doing well to defend from him. Harvey being very aggressive defending from Hawken. It's going to be difficult now to keep him behind for this whole straight, because with the big tow you get from these convertible MX5s, Hawken wants to dive up the inside, does a double look. Oh, can't see. Looks like he is up the inside now. Around the outside, sorry, of Daniel Harvey, looking for any opportunities. There's some contact now sideways. Harvey runs wide, gives some room. There's contact again going back down the hill, side by side, more contact. Very, very aggressive driving from Daniel Harvey. Is able to hold on to the lead for now. You can tell Hawken is growing very impatient at the situation that's occurring.
Contact between Espes and Clark for P3, and wide now runs Harvey. He's on the grass and there's more contact, and around he goes. So around goes Harvey, and I saw that coming. They didn't appear to be treating each other with that much respect, I'm afraid to say. And that means that Hawken is now in the lead of the race. Harvey drops down to P9 in all of that one. And it's a shame to see it end like that, because race 1 was so clean and tight. And I was hoping that race 2 would be a repeat, but unfortunately it appears to have come to blows between the leaders. It doesn't appear that Hawken did anything wrong in that one. Oh, he did. He shoved Harvey wide, and that's why Harvey was on the grass in the first place. So Harvey will argue that he was forced onto the grass and then not allowed to rejoin safely. There you see a replay of it.
Yeah,
and
certainly.
And Harvey will argue,
yes.
Hawken will argue that he rejoined unsafely and spun across his nose. A little bit of a racing incident potentially, but whatever the case, that means that Hawken now leads the race by half a second over Espes.
Yeah, certainly going to be a difficult decision from the stewards post-race to determine what happened. Now more cones flying, these poor cones. We've got the Ronin Sim Sport machine. It looks like Matrevsky diving up the inside of the 63 of Pandisco, is able to very cleanly take the pass. A very clinical move now from the Rona cars, who have been in a more of a peace treaty now, working his teammates to catch up to this main pack. And we've got some of the major players again lining up, with Hawken in the lead, Espes in third, Clark doing well holding on in third, with Erdeli very close behind, who's looking to get past as quick as possible as the gap is forming. It's a breakaway right now. Hawken and Espes of about 8/10 to third, so this is critical moves now. Can the 77 and the 32 get past Clark to stay with the draft pack and fight for the race win?
Indeed, goodness me, and they're right together. So Espes did his job and managed to make his way up into second position by the time Hawken got through to the lead. They're very, very close now, and we're not even half the way through this race. Clark scored a strike on that last lap, took down every single cone in one go, heading down the straight. It was rather beautiful, actually, not going to lie. And now he's under pressure from Adeli. This is what you're looking at. We were on board with Adeli, who's up the inside line, and will get through into third position before the corner. And now it's up to Clark to get the switch back. And on the exit, Espes directly under the rear bumper of Hawken's car. Adeli and Clark in close attendance. And then you have a whole train of cars. Looks as if everyone is in a slipstream bunch, right back to about 8th position here. Not necessarily 8th for the lead at this point in time. It looks like a 3 or 4 car fight as we speak, but it could turn into that in due time,
Oh,
especially towards the very end of this race. But look at the leaders, John.
yeah, it's very close. An awful lot has happened. Let's see if we can catch up on it a little bit. So this was towards earlier with Sampaio. Let's see if we can see what happened with him. And looks misjudged his braking. He may have had contact at this point, but looks like he had issues there early on in the race. Let's see see if we can tell what happened with Sebastian Rogier here.
Well, Pio ended up going for a spin after that, and there is Rogier. Is that someone slowing to the inside of the road? So something's happened there. That looks like a lap car to me.
Yeah, hard to tell. Let's we'll jump back live now and get more replays later for you, with Hawkins still in the lead and Espes in second. A lot of carnage now. Several cars out. We've got the likes of Shane Piggott, Michael Chase, Jackson Resendade, Aaron Black, Jason Cooper, who's very fast in race 1, and Lee Martin and Darren Ellis as well, all with issues. Looks like all have had to retire to the pits for repairs.
Only 13 cars on the lead lap now, and the leaders are side by side, and Espes has made his move. He's gone through to the lead into turn 2, left it rather late, but managed to make it stick. Adelie now on the tail of Hawkin, and this could be Espes' saving grace here, because he was going to come under pressure again. Those cones have resurrected themselves somehow, and they've been taken down immediately once again. Now into China Beach, we have Adelie up into second place. So Hawkin there, who looks as if he might attack Espes, has been attacked. And through has gone Adelie, who was 6th in race 1, doing a little better in race 2. Clearly had the pace for it, and has worked his way through. Now we're looking a little further down in the order. The few cars that are still on the lead lap in this one. Sorry for interrupting you slightly there, John.
Oh, it's all good. It's just another really good battle here of Ryan Pandisco, Robert Dindy, and Danny Yesser now, who are fighting now, taking advantage of the reverse grid situation. Actually, not in Dindy's case. He started at the tail end of this race, and he is now run up into P7. So he's doing well to keep it clean and take advantage of all the chaos and move up into 7th position now, trying to get 6th away from Pandisco if possible, if Danny Yesser will help him. We'll jump.
8 minutes to go in this race now until we start to see the checkered flag being prepared. And there are the leaders. They're approaching a little bit of traffic as well. That does happen in races where you have a little bit of attrition and carnage. Drivers come into the pits, they get the damage repaired, and they head out again to continue in the race. And there they go through on the outside line of a car once again taking down the cones that maintain their resurrecting power. Down into China Beach, there are the leaders, Espes, Adelie, and Hawkin, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, getting away a little from Clark, who's 4th, although Clark's still in relatively close attendance. There is Matrevsky, who took a little while to get onto this train for the lead, but he's there now, and could come into play if race 1 is anything to go by. And Disco dropping back as well, but still in the background, waiting to see if something happens. Little wide there from Clark. Matrevsky goes through. Matrevsky up into P4 now, and we'll see if he can get right onto the tail of the fight for the lead, just as he did in race 1.
Yeah, we've got more battles towards the later ends of the pack now, with Sampaio right behind Munoz, and Jacob Krefek close behind in the appears to be very Scottish tartan livery. Global Mazda MX5, love to see that. Sampaio now all over Daniel Munoz, looking for any edge. Sampaio had a spin earlier, so something happened. We didn't get a full picture of it, but he's all over at the back of Munoz, looking for any opportunity. Swings to the outside now. Munoz defending hard to the inside into turn 1. Side by side through the fastest corner on the track, very close, just about touching mirrors. They're going to go side by side now, up the hill, still side drafting each other, looking for any edge up into the keyhole. Who is going to be the last of the late breakers? Downshifting now, grabbing second gear, still side by side, nothing between them. This is really good racing between the two. And down the hill now, heading towards China Beach, still nothing between them. What do you make of this?
what do I make of this? I think this is absolutely insane. Oh, and walk, I love it.
These poor
I love it.
cones.
They really are playing bowling out there. This is wonderful. Down into China Beach now, side by side between the two of them. And even though there's only two of them, they seem to be racing just as hard as the cars are in a train of 5 or 6. But
Oh,
and they come
no.
together. They come together, I'm afraid to say. Off goes Munoz, and that is where he was facing backwards earlier in this race too. So maybe a little sense of deja vu from him. And Sampaio leaves the scene of the crime. I'll have a look back at the live stream to see what happened. Well, it kind of looks as if one of them came out, the other one kind of came in. And I'm not going to put blame on either one of them. There, you see it.
Very difficult call from our perspective, it looks like.
Could it have been netcode?
And potentially, it looks like Pandisco may have had an issue as well. Let's see what happened. Oh, just loses it up the hill. That's a very tricky spot where the car gets light. It's very difficult to get right. But unfortunate for Pandisco, because he was in a decent spot. And he looks like he's still in P9. So going to salvage some good points is Pandisco. Up front now, 5 minutes to go. The clock winding down with Espes in the lead with the track position and the clean air. Got Erdelli in second, Hawken in third, Matrevsky fourth, and then 1 second back is Jason Clark in fifth. Going through the timing table, we've got Robert Dindy in sixth, Danny Esser in second, Jason Krafek in eighth, Sampaio ninth, Pandisco now 10th, Daniel Harvey in P11. Then Munoz and Rogier are 1 lap down in 12th and 13th.
Yeah, Pandisco just lost 1 more place to Sampaio there, who's recovering from the incident that he just had with Munoz. Munoz now a lap down, so unfortunately we now have 11 cars on the lead lap of this race. Some of the drivers who are multiple laps down are retirements, some of them are continuing, but after heavy damage repairs. And whatever the case, they're all affected by their incidents. Of course, if you finish this race, there's a good chance you'll score points. That just tends to be how this point system works. If you finish, you score. But for the time being, at least, their races are all but over.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky this point system because as you said, it does reward clean and safe driving. Because if you finish like there's a good chance you still get a lot of points. It's 40th for first, 39th for second, and then it drops 1 point at a time all the way down. So yeah, you are rewarded for clean and safe driving. It's not all about gaining that extra spot. As Erdelli, it looks like he's trying to get something out of Espes, but Espes defends well and still holds on to the lead. But yeah, the point system is designed to reward those who try to maybe take it easy on that first lap of the reverse grid, keep it clean, and lose a couple of seconds, but will hold on to it and bag the points at the end.
I tell you, there ran wide to try to launch an attack on Espes. Meant that Hawken didn't get a particularly good run, and now approaching, is that Aaron? No, that's the number 12, Daniel Harvey there, who was leading this race earlier on, don't forget, before his collision with Hawken.
We've got
now falling back towards Hawken again.
Sorry to cut you off. We've got another battle still going on with Sampaio, Krafek, and Pandisco now for 8th, 9th, and 10th. Looks like this battle is not going to stop anytime soon. They're 20 seconds back on the leaders from all the madness that's happened in this race, but it's still very close, and anything can happen now with 2 minutes to go.
Everybody get out the way.
Get through the traffic, okay? Because we've seen more traffic in this race than in the first one, for sure. There was only 1 car that wasn't on the lead lap at the end of the first race, which shows you just how chaotic this second race has been for the most part, unfortunately. We are now on to the penultimate lap of this race, so once again, Espes leads onto the penultimate lap of the race and just has to bring it home now without being overtaken. Adelyi, Hawken, and Matrevsky are in close attendance, fighting hard. And now we see if anyone gets a good run out of the hairpin, gets the slipstream, and goes for an overtake. Espes will have a little slipstream of his own now from Hawken up in front, not Hawken, Harvey.
Looks like, yeah, Daniel Harvey, he should be given the blue flags. Let's see if he gets out of the way. Hopefully he shows respect for these leaders, because this is a great battle, absolutely fantastic. And it's winding down. There will be just 1 lap to go. He does really well and pulls all the way off the track. Oh no, he's right in front of Hawken. He holds up Hawken, and it looks like another road car. So he's split right between them. There's
Oh,
big chaos going on now. Big championship implications as well from being applied by the lap car. It's a very tricky situation for Hawken and Matrevsky
oh, there's
behind.
more contact. They collided when they were on the same lap, and they've collided now when they're on different laps as well. Hawken there slotting in between, or Harvey slotting in between Hawken and Adelie, and now they've collided. Fantastic. I mean, not fantastic, obviously, but absolutely unbelievable. Do you reckon that was personal, maybe?
It might have been. Again, the stewards were busy after Alton Park, and they'll be maybe even busier after this one now. 15 seconds on the clock, starting the final lap. It looks like a two-horse race. If we can focus in on it, it is Pablo Espes and Erdelli now fighting for the win. There's nothing between them. You could barely fit a piece of paper between their bumpers, now going through turn one, with Matrevsky 1 second behind in third, who was able to get past Hawken when that chaos happened with the back marker. Now side by side are the leaders.
Well, it's all going to be about the exit
two.
here. It's all going to be about the exit and what they can do down the straight. Decent exit from Adelie. He might have a chance still. They're still side by side. There's an overlap of bumpers. They are going to be side by side all the way down the straight. Do we get one last strike of the cones? Not this time around. There was a joint effort strike that last time around. And now we head up towards China Beach with Adelie on driver's left, Espes on driver's right. Espes maintaining the lead and off and into the grass. And he stays on the road just about, but Adelie made the mistake, and that might be it there. I think that Espes has it now. He just has to keep it under control for the rest of this course, and he will have a double victory in the Mazda MX5 Super Sprint Championship. And Adelie there had his chance and unfortunately made a little mistake. It's doubtful whether he would have gone through anyway, because Espes was positioning his car very, very well through that. Matrevsky will be third by the looks of things, so we will still have two of the Ronin cars in the top three in the Super Sprint powered by Ronin Championship. But yes, out towards the final corner of this lap. And Pablo Espes has driven fantastically, and he will win the second race of the day. It's a double victory, and that is all that he could have asked for. Second went to Adelie, then it was Matrevsky and Hawken. Fifth will be Clark, who started on pole here. Not bad, actually. Sixth will be Dendi, and then we have Yesa, Sampaio, Krafek, that's a driver running wide there, and then Pandiscio will be P10, and then of course you have the drivers who were affected by incidents and accidents and finished laps down or multiple laps down in this one. They will all score points, but fewer points than they would have done if they'd kept running, I'm afraid.
Yeah, just a couple drivers now finishing their laps. Now we're looking at Roger, who's a lap down, but is guaranteed now to finish P11. Yeah, with Harvey in 12th, and then Munoz 13th, Jason Cooper 14th, Lee Martin 15th. Then Fisher, Piggott, Ellis, Aaron Black, Jackson Resendade, and Michael Chase rounding out your results now for round 2 at Mid-Ohio. A lot of chaos happened with the reverse grid, and certainly in the mid pack, a few issues now, like with the FTR machines, but still another great fight for the win. Erdelli had tried to make a couple looks, but ended up dipping in the grass near China Beach, wasn't able to pull it off, but big props to Pablo Espes for sweeping both races at Mid-Ohio. All of the chaos that happened, and still he worked his way through.
Didn't have a bad race before, dude. Now.
And again,
indeed.
Fantastic.
I didn't think you were coming down.
So that's a lot as far as racing is concerned.
Mm-hmm. So we've got our first driver to interview here, who's Brandon Hawken. Very, very competitive. Was really the benchmark for pace at Alton Park. Was very competitive today in Mid Ohio. Brandon, you were involved. There was a lot of chaos thrown your way with the reverse grid. You're still able to bag P4 out of it. Tell us about your race. So we're now halfway through this first season of the Super Sprint Championship, and we've had Alton Park and Mid Ohio, Road Atlanta next. A little bit of a different challenge now. How are you going to prepare yourself and adjust your setup or your mindset for that race? Like, how are you going to change your approach to keep your advantage? Because I believe you should be still the championship leader, if not very close to it.
Control over. But yeah, Ignite in the YouTube stream says can't hear Hawken.
Uh-oh.
Sorry about that. With some again more technical difficulties. Bear with me, but we'll go back again for quickly for the those following along. Tell us quickly about your race. Sorry about that.
Oh yeah, no problem. Hello everybody in the YouTube chat. First race went really well. Yeah, we were I think it started P3 and or P4, and yeah, it was just a really great race within the top 5 there for the win, and that was some great side by side action. I was trying my best to catch back up to Pablo. We had a few cars in between us, and yeah, I just didn't quite have enough time there at the end, but that was yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was all right with P3 there, and second race, yeah, I had a really good start. I was moving my way up through the field, and had about a couple second gap over Pablo, which I was really working to get. And yeah, I'm not sure if I was be able to break the draft or not. He was really quick, so yeah, I was just trying my best to make my way through the field as fast as possible, and then I guess yeah, battling for the lead there. There were just you know, yeah, some things that I don't know, I don't really. I'm not gonna take anymore. Just yeah, not really. I don't know. Just not how I like to race, and then so yeah. After like the third or fourth or fifth hit or whatever, I basically turned him, and then he waited on me, and I turned him again, so he didn't turn me. So yeah, I'll take whatever repercussions there are. But aside from that, really great racing from the rest of the field. I was hoping to maybe contend for the win there near the end, but I basically killed my car. So coming into the following rounds, I'm just gonna think big picture, and I try my best not to let my emotions get the best of me, but yeah, that was a bit of an exception there. So yeah, thinking big picture, going still trying to go for the championship, and yeah, should be a lot of fun with all those guys up into the front there.
Thank you for that, Brandon, and thank you for repeating yourself as well.
Oh, no
Apologies
problem.
about the
Thank you guys.
the technical difficulties, but anyway, that happens sometimes. John, I think that might be it, unfortunately, because no one seems eager to jump into the interview room.
Oh,
Maybe just a bit
we've
out of
actually,
breath after that one.
yeah, I wouldn't surprise you. We've actually got one more driver here, which is Gabriel Erdelli, who finished second, nearly getting Pablo Espes. We'll drag him in here. Brandon in 1 second, but Brandon, thank you for your time, bud. Really appreciate you, and great job in that race.
Oh, thanks so much, guys. Have a good one.
Take care, buddy. You too. So now let's get Mr. Gabriel Erdelli here in the Ronin SimSport machine. And he's in the booth with us now. Gabriel, you finished second in the reverse grid despite all of that chaos happening up and down the field. You're able to bag P2, nearly getting Pablo Espes. Tell us about your race and what your mindset was trying to get around Pablo, and what you needed to get that little bit more.
Yeah, thanks for putting me in the interview, John. Well, basically, the drama started in lap 1, where I had a small incident with Michael in the second to last corner. We just came into each other. Personally, I think it was a racing incident, but I'm not the one to decide that. After that, I was just damage limitation. My car was a bit damaged, but, you know, head down, tried to keep going on. But when I caught back up to Pablo, I was trying to find and wait for an opportunity. But he was quite solid. Nothing really came about, so I was planning to go for it on the second to last lap, but he had slipstream from a lapped car, so I had to improvise from there. So it was sort of a mixture of luck and you know, good defending from him. It was quite. Yeah. Nothing else much to report. It was quite quiet from me. Just doing my own thing.
Fair enough. Thank you very much, Gabriel. The next run, of course, Road Atlanta, it's going to be an exciting one for these cars. How are you feeling about it, and is it a track that you go well at?
Well, I've raced Road Atlanta a lot of times before. Can't say I've raced in MX5s though. It's probably a much different experience. Back straight's going to be a lot of slipstream. But yeah, it's probably going to be another crazy one like today, which I'm looking forward to since these MX5s are a blast to race with. Hopefully it's a bit cleaner though. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Indeed. Thank you very much.
Outstanding. Well, thank you again very much for your time, Gabriel. I think we're going to sign off here. I'm John Vining, and thank you all for your time. I'll turn it over to you, Caitlin, to end us off.
Indeed. Thank you, John. Thank you for helping me get set up in this one. This was my first broadcast with Super Sprint Championship powered by Ronin, and thank you as well to the master of the maximum bants himself, Jake Sperry, for inviting me to do this. I very much enjoyed it. It's been 2 fantastically close races, and Mazda MX5 racing never fails to disappoint. Road Atlanta next time. I don't know whether I'm going to be here or not, but whatever the case, I'm going to be watching it and I'm going to be enjoying it. And I can't wait to see exactly how it ends up. Wonderful stuff. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to the drivers we interviewed, and we will see you next time out.